audio et secta diabolica, in nomine et virtute Domini nostri Jesu Christi, eradicare et effudare.
Welcome, Boo Crew, to another episode of Paranormal Howl Hour. I'm your host, Paranormal Howl, and with me is my spooky sass who has a fine personality. How you doing tonight, James?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I thought that one up on the spot. How'd you like that?
I liked that. Sass with the... Yeah, I like that.
With an air leak?
Yeah, that one was good. That one was good. How are you doing?
I try. I'm good. I'm all right. You know, living life, living the dream. How are
Ditto.
you? Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. That's good. Anything exciting happen this week?
Yeah, it happened today. I had my favorite food. I gotta have food truck food.
Yeah, we went to the taco trucks today.
Yeah.
Or, well, the food trucks, but mainly they sell a lot of tacos.
Food truck row.
Yep. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day today, too.
It was nice, but you know what? I can smell fall in the air.
Mm-hmm. I know. I don't know if you noticed, but lots of leaves falling all over the place.
Don't take my warm days away from me so soon. It's still September.
Excuse me. Weren't you the one that had a pumpkin spice latte today?
Yeah, I started having them 2 weeks ago.
You did. And believe it or not, I've had like one pumpkin spice latte since they've come back.
Well, I went and tried to sell out Aldi of the zero sugar pumpkin spice creamer for my coffee. So, you know.
And weren't you the one that said, "Oh, I don't want to get sick of it. I don't want too much too fast."
Well, you know how that goes. Every year.
You even got pumpkin spice whipped cream in the fridge.
I sure did. And it's delish.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Jack is going to be very vocal today, I feel.
Yeah, I think he's going to be tonight. He's had lots of sleeps before his sleep, and he's mad at his bed.
Yes, he is. It's not even his bed. I bought it for all of us. I bought you know what? Before I go into what I bought, we never said anything about who Jack is or how. Jack is our puggle.
Yeah, he's our four-legged son.
Yes, and he's adorable, but every time we do this, every time we don't pay attention to him in general, the theatrics happen. And specifically, every time we get these microphones in front of us, he knows it's time. It's his time to distract and get loud and get jiggy with it. But yeah, he turns 2, September 29th. Very close. Very close. So we've been talking about Jack since the first episode, but never explained. So there you go. There you have it. And he's currently eating the human-sized dog bed that I got off of TikTok Shop.
That you said you'd never buy from.
Well, you know,
they sucked you in.
Yeah, and it was a purchase. You had gone on your mini vacay to Florida, and It was just me and the boy, and I had to make an emotionally charged purchase. You know, it made me feel better while you were gone. So, and we pretty much slept in it every night that you were gone. So, but now he's taken it over, and it is his. But we jump in every once in a while, and. For a little under 3-foot dog, he could sprawl out almost the whole 6 feet. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know.
I
have no idea.
He's a grower, not a shower.
Come on. No.
Yeah, it's true. He looks so tiny, and then all of a sudden, especially when he sleeps, he becomes twice his size. I don't understand.
I feel like that's with every dog, though.
I know. I don't know how they do it.
I don't either. I think it's a special power that like God gave them when he created pups.
Probably. I wish I knew that superpower when I was younger and I couldn't get on like the big kid rides at the amusement park.
Right?
Like, hold on one second.
Yeah.
I had all these things. It's so funny because every time we record, things come up in our podcast when we're talking, and I'm like, oh, I have to remember that for next episode. I have to remember that. I have to remember saying, I have to say this. I have to get this out. I have to remind myself of, certain things I want to say. There's one thing that I did want to say. So last week we were talking about numerology, and I mentioned a movie with Jim Carrey. You remember that? And I was like, oh, it's like the number 9 or something kept coming up. It's not. The movie's called 23, and it's about the number 23 coming up everywhere. Yeah. Oh. I looked it up because I was like, oh, I can't be wrong about this. So it's called 23. Oh, we watched that really good. That's what we did on
I was about to say we
Friday night.
Yes. Oh God, it was good. Mm.
Yeah, so we watched that documentary. It's a 2-episode documentary on Netflix, and it's called Into the Fire, The Lost Daughter. Such a good documentary. It's short, right? It's only 2 episodes, but wow. You're glued to it from the beginning to the end. And it really goes into a mother's instinct and how superhuman. I always say this. I've always said this, and I always thought it, mothers are superhuman. When you become a mom, you gain this whole cache of superhuman abilities. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that for you guys. It's a marvel. You have to become a mom to unlock those special superpowers for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. We do it, I guess.
Yeah. It's marvelous. So I'm going first this week.
You are going first this week, yeah.
So I have one in the chamber that I was talking about last week about Arkansas because you picked the state. And I don't want to push it out because it's a really good story, I think. It was very, very educational, informative for me. I didn't even know about this particular thing. So it was great to research. I had a lot of fun doing it. But you said something last week.
I did.
In your story.
Okay.
It was your story about Corpsewood Manor.
Yeah.
And a big topic of discussion was Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
One thing that really stuck with me was the whole thing about McDonald's getting
Get
shit
out of here
end of the stick when it came to Satanic Panic. I thought that was just nuts. So I'm doing my story. Arkansas will come next week.
Okay.
But my story is about good old Mickey D's.
Get out of here.
I did it on Satanic Panic and McDonald's and the correlation and what went down because I couldn't get out of my head, right?
Okay.
I mean, McDonald's is such a big corporation and there's so many people that purchase products and work for, McDonald's Corporation. And I just couldn't. When you said McDonald's and you said that brief story, which I'm going to go into a little bit, I was like, no freaking way. And I was like, well, what? I need to research more about this whole. I want to research Satanic Panic as a whole because there was a lot of shit that went down during that time. And it is way too much for me to solely cover in one episode. It's definitely more than just a topic. I feel like it's more of a subject that we can go over and over again different ways. What's your story about this week?
I have a story coming out of Georgia again.
Oh, you stuck with Georgia, huh?
Yeah.
All right. There's a lot of stuff in Georgia.
I mean, I guess this is what, okay, yeah. I mean, this was going to be like my original Georgia story. And then I went down a rabbit hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I found the other one that I did. So, but this one's very interesting, and I have to go back and find the pictures so that I can, you can have some pictures to post for the story. But yeah, it's a good one.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm not letting loose any clues yet. You'll get the gist of it once I start telling it.
okay. Oh, is it something that I might know about?
I don't think you'll know about this. I did not know about this. It's you kind of got to take your pick of whether it's like a tall tale or a legend.
Oh, well,
kind of thing. So
whether it's fact or fallacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, I consider myself a healthy skeptic, so I'll definitely let you know my opinion.
Okay. Ronald McDonald, man.
So
and Grimace.
Yeah. Well, and here, I just
what happened to Grimace? What happened to the burglar? I want to know these things.
The Hamburglar? They came back.
The little.
That's Grimace.
No, the other ones. The ones that were different colored. What were they?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
The ones that were different colors.
Mm-hmm. They had shoes. They looked like little mops on legs. They were different colors.
Are you talking about McDonald's, or are you talking about like the Muppet Babies?
McDonald's. I'm gonna find a picture of them.
Yeah, you do that.
Like when you had like the McDonald's playland,
the playhouse,
the train,
the playhouse. Yeah.
Did you guys have the train and you could have parties inside the caboose, the train caboose?
Yeah,
like birthday parties.
Yeah, we had a playland area. Oh God, I remember this, and this is so both of our generations actually. Ours was completely made of hard shit, not like ball pits. It was like there was like metal slides and like everything was metal. Yeah. Like get your tetanus shot before you go to that birthday party because you're risking it.
I'll try to find them.
Okay.
You had the parties with like the orange drink and
yeah. Oh God, yeah.
There was like
the orange drink. If you know, you know.
Yeah, it was high C, right?
It was fucking high C.
Yeah. But I remember I was one of the weird kids. I guess nobody ever liked.
You still are one of the weird kids, but anyway.
Okay, but like the rock, the ones that rock back and forth.
Yeah, it was the metal things that you sat on, and it was on the big ass spring, the industrial spring, and your goal was always to hit the front and hit the back. Yeah, like literally hit the ground.
So nobody ever liked playing on those, and I did. They were considered like what you played on until that greasy kid got off of the other thing that you wanted to play on. But you remember the Fry Guys and the fillet of fish? So it was the fish sandwich head, and then like the sandwich.
We never had the fish head. We always just had the cheeseburger head.
No, that's the fillet of fish. And then the fish body. It's a fish body with the fillet of fish.
Well, we didn't.
You had a cheeseburger one?
We had a cheeseburger boy.
Okay, do you remember the Fry Guys, though?
No.
They were the little Kush. You remember Kush balls?
Yeah.
Ding-a-ding. That's what they look like with legs.
Remember Rosie O'Donnell used to throw them at people?
Yeah.
On her show?
There was so many good times, man.
Yeah.
I didn't have a McDonald's in my town.
No?
No. I had to go to Roswell.
You had to go to Alien Town to go to McDee's?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See? You didn't have one of those?
Ew. God, that's scary. What the hell? Jesus.
You're going to have to post it on our website now that I showed you a picture of it because everybody's going to be like, what is she looking at?
Oh, my Lord.
Okay,
that's
so this is the guy that you had.
That's the guy we had, yes.
Okay, that's the guy you had.
And then we also had this it was like a big tower that you would climb up, and there was a swivel ladder on it. Not a ladder, a swivel slide on it. Mm-hmm. So you'd climb up the head. It was the big cheeseburger, and you climb up it. Yeah, but it wasn't that. But that was the slide. That was the slide.
Yeah. Okay, so these are the Fry Guys.
No, but underneath, I don't remember the Fry Guys. I believe you. But underneath, those are the things you used to ride. Can you imagine letting go?
Because that's what the Fry Guys were.
Those were on legit springs. And if you let go, you were flying.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that creepy ass Ronald.
He used to scare the shit out of me.
He's still there, right there. It was a fucking cage.
Great big cheeseburger cage.
damn prison. Yes.
Yep.
And you'd climb up it, and then there was a oh my God, you have to I gotta post all this. That is too funny. We were in Cheeseburger prison with the Hamburglar. Look at that.
Grimace.
These are very medieval. Oh my God, what did we used to play on? Jesus. And that shit was outside. Ours was inside.
And burnt you to a crisp.
I was just gonna say, the ones that were outside. Whoo.
There was no cover.
God,
there was no protection. Our skin was, God, how did we make it through childhood?
That's why our skin's so leathery now. It's battle worn. Battle worn from the place.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. Okay. I want to hear how.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we should talk.
We should talk about
my story.
We should talk about the story.
This is scary enough, reliving childhood. Jeez. So,
well, they say you spend the rest of your life getting over your childhood. So,
well, I'll never get over that fillet of fish I just saw. Jeez. Oh my Lord. Ugh. You might think that burgers and Satanism are an unlikely pair, right? But during the 80s and the 90s, McDonald's became entangled in conspiracy theories that accused the brand of promoting satanic ideals, from accusations against its founder, who I have a problem with the founder anyway. Have you ever seen that movie, The Founder?
Yeah, I think we watched it together, didn't we?
We did not, but Michael Keaton plays the guy I'm about to talk about.
Okay.
You should go watch the movie, whoever's listening. You would think it's boring, but it's not. It's actually interesting. I've never hated Michael Keaton so much, and I love him.
Aww.
So these accusations against its founder and strange claims about its golden arches came into view in the 80s and the 90s. So grab your fries, girl. We're about to get into it.
Oh, I wish I had some right now.
You want me to go get you some?
No.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, I kind of want some. But
You want to go get some? You want to go take a ride?
Okay, later.
Are you sure?
Like right now?
Yeah, let's go get some fries and a milkshake and we'll come back.
Okay. To be continued.
Okay, and we're back.
We really did it, guys. I have the hiccups, so pardon me.
Yeah, we got the goods, and now we're back getting ready to talk about and McDee's. Shout out to McDee's drive-through girl who gave Jack a McNug.
Yeah, he's got a McDonald's boo.
Yeah, he likes the girls at McDonald's, and now he's having a fry.
Yep, now he's having a fry with his mama.
Okay, so I guess let's explore
You're gonna dive in?
Let's explore the bizarre chapter in American culture, the Satanic Panic, and how it affected the most unsuspecting of places, like the fast food giant McDonald's. The Satanic Panic took root in the U.S. during the early 1980s, a period marked by cultural shifts, rising religious conservatism, and growing fears about child safety. The seeds of the panic were planted with the publication of Michelle Remembers in 1980, which is a book that you also mentioned last week.
Yes, I did.
A book by Michelle Smith and her psychiatrist, Lawrence Pazder, in which Smith claimed to have recovered repressed memories of being abused by a satanic cult. Though the book was eventually discredited, it ignited widespread fears about secret satanic rituals and child abuse across the country. This led to what we now refer to as the Satanic Panic, a moral panic where people feared that hidden satanic groups were infiltrating schools, daycares, and even the entertainment industry. Numerous daycare centers, such as the infamous McMartin Preschool, were accused of being fronts for these cults. Many of these accusations resulted in long drawn-out court cases that ended without evidence but left lasting scars on those accused. Reports of bizarre ritualistic abuse, some involving children, spread like wildfire, despite the lack of concrete proof. Media coverage played a major role in amplifying these fears. talk shows, and news outlets frequently aired stories about satanic rituals, presenting anecdotal accounts and unverified allegations as fact. This mass hysteria created an atmosphere where anything remotely associated with symbols of power, consumerism, or youth culture was seen as potentially linked to Satanism, and McDonald's, along with other corporate giants, became targets. I think being in 2024, I think we all have heard about Hollywood, the Illuminati, devil worshipping, the sacrifices, this, that, the other thing.
Ozzy Osbourne biting the bat's head off.
Okay, everyone needs to leave Ozzy alone, though.
Yes, please do.
He did what he did.
Wasn't supposed to be a real bat, guys.
I just want everyone to keep in back of their minds that this stuff is possible, and it's a very tricky and delicate situation. There are a lot of things that I have a problem with concerning Satanic Panic. And I think that it's fair to say that, yes, it started in the 80s and 90s. It's still happening today, whether it's the paranoia of it all or actual accounts. And you can be the judge and you can do your own research. But from what I know, what I've seen, what I've read, what I've heard, I think it's very much a real thing. I don't even know if this is going to make it into it. But McDonald's is not the only one that was accused. The 80s were a time when people were growing increasingly suspicious of large corporations, seeing them as symbols of greed or exploitation. And McDonald's, one of the most visible and successful corporations in America, became a prime target for these anxieties, if you will. So the most famous stories to emerge during the Satanic Panic involved Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's. Around this time, rumors began circulating that Kroc had allegedly admitted to donating part of McDonald's profits to the Church of Satan. And according to some versions of the story, this admission was made during a televised interview, although no footage or credible source of such an interview has ever been found. The rumor likely stemmed from a combination of fear and misunderstanding. The idea that a fast food giant was funding satanic activities fed into people's worst fears about consumerism gone awry. Adding to the confusion were claims that the McDonald's logo itself had hidden satanic meanings. Some conspiracy theorists pointed out that the golden arches could be interpreted as the number 13 when flipped upside down, a number often associated with bad luck in the occult, which, again, we went through last week with the special number 13 topic. Others tried to claim that the arches had geometric significance tied to occult symbols, like the allegations against Ray Kroc. These claims were not based in any actual factual evidence, but the power of rumor and speculation kept them alive. This wasn't the only time McDonald's faced strange accusations. Another bizarre rumor claimed that McDonald's was using satanic blessings on their food, which would then be consumed by unsuspecting customers.
What?
This urban legend followed a similar pattern to other Satanic Panic rumors, which often took innocuous activities and gave them a sinister twist. Of course, these claims were thoroughly debunked, but they nonetheless contributed to the paranoia of the time. McDonald's was not the only major company that had become a target during the Satanic Panic. Procter & Gamble, P&G. Yeah, they found themselves in the crosshairs of conspiracy theorists due to its logo, which featured a bearded man in the moon surrounded by 13 stars.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and conspiracy theorists claimed that the logo represented satanic symbols, with the number 13 once again coming into play. Procter & Gamble spent years battling these accusations, even filing lawsuits against individuals and organizations that perpetuated the rumors. The company eventually changed its logo in the mid-1990s to distance itself from the controversy, but not before the damage had been done. Like McDonald's, Procter & Gamble had nothing to do with Satanism, but the persistence of these conspiracy theories shows how deep the paranoia of the Satanic Panic ran. Even children's entertainment was not immune. Shows like He-Man, the Smurfs, and Care Bears were all accused of promoting satanic values, as were popular games like Dungeons & Dragons, which you also mentioned last week.
Yeah.
And parents, fueled by fear and sensationalist media reports, began to see satanic messages everywhere. from toy commercials to Saturday morning cartoons. To fully understand how McDonald's and these other brands got tangled in the Satanic Panic, we have to look at the larger cultural context of the time. The 1980s was a period of major social and political change. The rise of conservative evangelical Christianity, along with the growing influence of the religious right, contributed to the heightened sense of moral vigilance. Christian leaders and organizations such as Jerry Falwell's Moral Majority were instrumental in promoting the idea that American society was under threat of satanic forces. Fear was exacerbated by the rapid expansion of mass media, sensationalist stories, often with little factual basis, spread quickly through talk shows, news programs, and even church sermons. Shows like Geraldo Rivera's infamous special on satanic rituals in 1988, which attracted millions of viewers, amplified these fears. Rivera's program, along with others like it, presented dubious experts who claimed to have insider knowledge of satanic cults operating in America. And you and I were actually talking about last week the shows we used to watch, like Sally Jesse Raphael, Geraldo,
Donahue, Ricky Lake.
And they all had those types of shows in the 80s and 90s about like satanic cults and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was some good TV, that's for sure.
Less filtered.
Yeah. Yeah. Less quote unquote politically correct and everything. It was, well, we were all built different though back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, with you talking about how this used to like the scare, right? And it coming into like the Care Bears. I mean, they were my favorite. One of my favorites, right? The Care Bears, the Transformers, all of that. Mm-hmm. But I sit here and I'm like, now those which were our parents are now grandparents. And what do they think about the cartoons that our kids and grandkids are watching?
Okay, but have you seen some of these cartoons that our kids, our quote unquote kids, are watching?
Not in 26 years.
Yeah. I'll tell you, they're not any better. So yeah, so Ray Kroc ended up putting out a statement regarding the accusations and kind of just put it to rest. He denounced the Church of Satan and Satanic Panic that he was accused of. And it kind of, I mean, it never really went away. McDonald's was but like I said, it wasn't just the only big brand company. I mean, it still happens today. A big one that people go after is Monster drinks. The energy drink.
I have heard this before.
Yeah, well, I remember seeing it. I don't remember where I saw it, but some guy like picked apart the entire can and like where all of the quote unquote satanic symbols were. And I remember distinctly how the M was made. It's actually three lines separated, even though they look like an M. They're not connected, which equals
to like mock the Trinity, right?
Yeah.
That's the part that I remember.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't care if people were doing satanic rituals over my chicken nuggies. I mean, they were still good when I was 5. So, whatever.
Leave my chicken nuggies alone.
And you know what? In all honesty, like, they were definitely not doing any type of ritual sacrifices other than leaving us kids to our own devices on those absolutely dangerous playhouses.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if a kid did die, it was like accidental yet intentional.
I mean, my memories of McDonald's, I will just say this, my memories of McDonald's have led me to have a witch chicken nugget as a tattoo. So, I have only good memory. Like I can't fathom it being part of Satanic Panic.
Yeah. And it's a witchy nug too.
I know. Now I got to get the boo nug.
Gotta get all the nugs. So, yeah. So, I mean, McDonald's was targeted. I thought that was really fucked up.
McDonald's, Procter and Gamble, and now it's just P&G, right? I mean, that's like their logo is just the P and the G now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then I read somewhere that like Taco Bell was in on the mix, but they couldn't really, there wasn't anything of significance that they were talking shit about Taco Bell. But also, don't come after Taco Bell. But if you're going to do something to America, hit them where it hurts. Hit them at the fast food restaurants.
We love our fast food.
I mean, obviously, the Satanic Panic didn't dissuade anyone McDonald's sells billions and billions of dollars worth of, products a year. So maybe it helped them. I mean, certainly didn't make them go out of business.
Definitely did not.
But this whole satanic panic thing is very much a very delicate topic because there are people that don't believe it, people that do believe it, things that are true, things that are not. It's the whole satanic panic. It's the panic part that people focus on, right? The paranoia of it all. One of the major cases of the 1980s was the McMartin Preschool trial. It started in the 80s and progressed through the early 90s, and it was one of the longest and most expensive criminal cases in American history. And it centered around allegations of child sexual abuse at the McMartin Preschool in Manhattan Beach, California. So the initial allegations were in 1983. And the case began when Judy Johnson, a parent of one of the preschool children, accused a teacher, Ray Bucky, of molesting her son. She also alleged that other staff members were involved. Johnson's claims eventually expanded to bizarre accusations, including satanic rituals and animal sacrifices. The police sent a letter to about 200 parents of children who attended the preschool, asking them to talk to their children about possible sexual abuse. This led to numerous children being interviewed, often in ways that were later criticized for being suggestive and leading. The trial unfolded during a period of heightened concern in the U.S. about child abuse and satanic rituals because of the Satanic Panic. Allegations included the claims of underground tunnels, flying witches, and secret ceremonies, which added a sensationalized aspect to the case. The McMartin Preschool trial spanned 7 years, from 1984 to 1990, include a really lengthy pre-trial investigation, 2 separate trials, and various legal proceedings. In 84, the first charges were filed against the McMartin Preschool staff. Then, 3 years later, from 1987 to 1990, the first trial lasted that long and ended without any convictions. And then in 1990, a second trial focused solely on Ray Bucky, but it ended in acquittal. Investigative journalists and scholars began to debunk many of the myths surrounding satanic cults, and the panic gradually faded from public consciousness. However, the impact of the Satanic Panic can still be felt today. The phenomenon left a lasting mark on how we think about conspiracy theories, moral panics, and the power of media to shape public opinion. McDonald's, for its part, emerged from the Satanic Panic relatively unscathed, thank goodness. But that clown, though. But the rumors that swirled around it served as a reminder of how easily misinformation can be spread, even in the absence of evidence. Today, we live in an age where conspiracy theories are more visible than ever thanks to the internet and social media. While we may be better equipped to debunk these rumors, the lessons of the Satanic Panic remain relevant. It's a powerful reminder of how fear and paranoia can distort reality, and how even the most harmless symbols, like a pair of golden arches, can become the focus of wild speculation. Satanic Panic is one of those strange chapters in history where fear, media, and society collided to create a perfect storm of conspiracy theories and moral outrage. McDonald's may have just been serving burgers and fries, but during the height of the panic, some people saw something far more sinister behind those golden arches, like trans fats. Yeah. The McMartin case, by the way, wasn't the only preschool, or school for that matter, that was accused of this. There were daycare workers and preschool workers all over the U.S. that were accused of sexually abusing children in the 80s, and many of the allegations included charges of ritualized abuse amid satanic practices. One staff member from a different school near McMartin was tried, but the case ended with a hung jury. Other daycare workers faced charges in New Jersey and South Carolina, and any convictions were eventually overturned. So this comes to, I feel like it's an extreme, right? Because on one hand, you have something like the Salem witch trials, where all of these kids were believed and all of these adults faced the consequences, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's kind of like a modern thing that happened. It was like a modern day Salem witch trial. However, although it might not be satanic practice, we have definitely heard throughout the years of allegations of daycare and preschool workers engaging in the abuse of children. So it's a very delicate topic. And yeah, it's a scary thing. So the panic part, for sure, it's legitimate. I don't think it's not legitimate. And also, you know, the McMartin case, although it was famous, and a lot of the kids that had claims towards the workers ended up getting debunked, you have to be careful. You don't know where the truth ends and the lie begins. Although this was a moment in history where accusations were made, it was investigated and eventually cleared. When you have little kids saying certain things, you know, it's sort of like that out of the mouth of babes. Even if it's said and unbelievable, to do your due diligence as an administrator, as an law enforcement officer, as a social worker, anyone that's involved in the situation, I think that it's a worthy cause, you know? I'd rather investigate a crying wolf incident 100 times than not investigate that one time that something bad is actually happening. So
yeah, and I mean, all of this got embedded on these children were not unscathed. I mean, you know, they have to live with either one, it really happening, because you don't know where the truth begins, and I mean, you know, they either have to live with, okay, I'm saying this, or this really didn't happen. Why are you making me say this? And I mean, like, that's going to stay with them. It's going to be, you know, embedded.
Sure.
It's sad.
It is. It's very sad. Do you remember the McMartin Preschool trials by chance? You were young, but
I do not. I was very, very young when all of this started. I mean, like I said, I'm a late 70s baby.
Yeah.
80s adolescence, 90s having kids. But yeah, I mean, it's all very real to me. And it wasn't so much that I can remember people saying satanic panic per se, but you also have to understand, I dealt with, being from the South, I dealt with a lot of cult issues. So, and that goes down another rabbit hole. But that's, I mean, the ones in Mexico, I mean, they based that off of a satanic cult. All of those bodies that they found.
And where was this? And when was this?
Oh my God, it was in the early 90s.
This is a real thing that happened.
This is a real thing. Yes. It made national news.
It was in the news.
Yeah.
And this is the part of, I remember us talking about this.
It was right across the border.
Yeah. And they were like holding hands and headless, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't the first time that this happened.
That was one of them. That was one of them. And then there was another one. But they said that it was from satanic ritual. Like, the murders happened because it was ritualistic. I'll look it up. To be continued.
Tijuana?
No, Tijuana's on the California side.
I remember us talking about it.
The one that I know about personally, I want to say Jonesboro, but that's not right. Brownsville. Yeah. I'll look it up. Juarez in Brownsville area.
Oh, this was April 11th, 1989.
Yes.
The remains of dozens of mutilated bodies that police said were apparently victims of satanic ritual.
Yep.
Hold on.
That's it.
I'm looking at WAPO right now. Let's see how much it lets me read. Discovered early this morning in graves just south of the U.S.-Mexican border in Matamoros, Mexico. One dead was a 21-year-old University of Texas pre-med student who had been missing since spring break outing last month. So they had 4 suspects that were taken into custody.
Yeah. I think the leader was
said they had
a woman.
What?
I think the leader was a woman.
The Mexican police officer said they had served a drug search warrant on a ranch 20 miles west of Matamoros and found a shack that had been used for voodoo and satanic worship.
Dang, we're going to have to do it. Well, okay, we'll have to do one about this.
Yeah, I'm not going to go too much into it because you should definitely take the reins on that one since you lived there. I mean, you lived near there. That's your neck of the woods.
Definitely my neck of the woods. It was scary. I feel like, yes, the Satanic Panic is not so much called that. It's not called that anymore, but I still believe that it's very much a thing that goes on in the world. Just like you said, in Hollywood. I mean, we've got the Illuminati, you know.
Right, and that's a whole
nother Pandora's box to get open. But
yeah,
you know, I mean, I
think one way or another you should never discount what's being said. I mean, even though Satanic Panic happened, a lot of truth was brought to light about a lot of bad things that were going on in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's one of those things where you need to read between the lines. It's not as clear cut as everyone says or thinks.
Yeah.
And when you, like I said, when you have a situation where kids are crying wolf, you have a duty to protect that child, whether it's the truth or not, because it's going to be that one time,
Yeah.
And when I was doing my research, there was even one of the kids that's now an adult back in 2005. So pretty, it's not very recent. We're in almost 2025, but like what? All right. 20 years ago?
Yeah.
2005, 2015, 2012. Oh my God, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Came out and said, yeah, I said some things and I felt like I was kind of forced into saying them. They weren't true. And I'm not saying that they were true. I mean, take this person at their word. But the fact that was in the 80s, 1983, and now it's 2005, that you still feel the need to come out and say something, I find that interesting. Whether it was the whole situation itself that really left an effect on him, or if something is suppressed that is still affecting him. Who knows?
Yeah, we might never know. You know where I really thought all of this was going to go?
Where?
Behind that damn clown.
Right?
I've never liked clowns. You know this. It scares me, but like...
Well, I guess it's just a whole testament to McDonald's. I mean, think about all the things they've had to deal with throughout the years. Stephen King's It, right?
Mm-hmm.
John Wayne Gacy, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. They've had to deal with a lot with their mascot being a clown. And they're still thriving. So, I mean,
it was kind of supposed to be, turn a frown upside down because, there's also the Ronald McDonald house too, right?
Which does amazing work. Yes.
Absolutely. But yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, if she starts bringing all of the characters into this story, I could see where that could be a play on, people saying, oh, well, Grimace was this and Ronald was this and,
Have you ever seen the original Ronald McDonald?
I've seen the original Hamburglar, and he's terrifying.
You want to see what Ronald McDonald looked like?
Oh God, yeah. I feel like we went way off on your poor story topic tonight.
Yeah, well,
that's terrifying.
It's terrifying. So scary.
It's so scary.
Ugh.
I don't think Grimace was much better. I mean, but he's just like a big purple blob. And there was the Fry Kids or whatever. I remember one of them having like little piggy tails.
I mean, and listen, I know I just showed you a picture of Ronald McDonald, but like, look at that. That's Bozo the clown.
No,
Why would you ever pick a clown to be your mascot?
I can't even with Bozo's supposed to be like the happiest clown in the world, right?
Yeah, but how? Ugh.
No.
Maybe I'll do an episode on clowns because there's.
You're gonna make me sit through that. Oh my gosh!
All right. Well,
I mean, I think it's you've definitely like I don't know. Some of my fear I think is a little bit like I'm better at it. At least I can look at some of them now.
Ugh, we're doing this late at night too. We have to go to sleep after this.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna stop talking about the clowns. I'm glad that I inspired you to go and dig deep and find.
Yeah, I had to
things out.
I had to. I mean, it wasn't as much as I thought I was gonna. It was more so about the Satanic Panic and all the craziness that was happening. And there's, like I said, it's such a big, dense topic, and you can just, you have a whole decade and a half that you can do multiple episodes on, which it's like a take your pick in the 80s/90s, and a lot of bad shit happened in the 80s too, right? So like, yeah, everyone's afraid.
Well, and I feel like too, being part of like the mid 60s to probably the mid 90s, everybody had a voice.
Yeah,
they weren't afraid to be vocal back then.
Yeah, and
there was no filter, and I feel like we're might get back to that. But I think that was the age that everybody was hear me roar, no matter what the cause was for.
They couldn't leave McDonald's out of it, I guess.
Leave my McDonald's alone.
Right. So that's it. That's all I have for you.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was basically just an answer to a question that I had about your story, but with a couple of
I do want to read that book though.
Michelle Remembers, right?
Yeah.
Even though it got discredited.
I mean,
I don't
how
know.
dare you? But
also, it also showed, it gave a voice to those that have been involved and stuff like that.
yeah.
Like there were tons of TV shows in the 80s and 90s that brought that stuff to light
Yeah.
of people that were actually going through it, you know?
That's one thing that really, really bothers me is like the ones crying wolf to the real, the affected, right? When it comes to children, I'm 100% with you. Like, I don't care. You can cry wolf a million times and I'm still going to go down a rabbit hole to find out the truth.
Yeah. But also just, you know, even if she was making things up, like it came from somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like all this stuff. And that's kind of where my head is at. And I guess that's where the whole conspiracy theorist in me goes, is like, okay, you might be making all this up, but it came from somewhere. So where did it come from? Did you hear it from someone else? Did you just make this up in your head? What made you make this up? What was your influence? Or is this true stories that you're taking on as your own? Who was really affected? You know, I have all these questions, right? I do. I want to know all the things. So yes, I'm definitely going to look into getting that book for sure. We should read it. All right. Are you ready for your story?
Woo. Yeah.
That was not supposed to be as long as it was, but it was.
That's okay.
Sorry.
We went down a couple of more rabbit holes and that's all right. Yeah. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at like the old playgrounds and
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pictures. I'm going to be adding to our social media and our blog, www.paranormalhowl.com. By the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm ready. I mean, we're gonna take y'all back down to Georgia with the devil.
Okay.
Not really, not with the devil, but still part of Georgia. When I was looking into stories, as I said last week, I wanted something to be outside of the box of just like the Savannah scary stories and ghost stories and stuff. So I came upon one about a lovely young girl named Miss Emily Isabella Burt.
Emily Isabella Burt.
Yes. Okay, so tucked away in a rural county in southwest Georgia between Macon and Columbus is where the tale of one Miss Emily Isabella Burt came about. As the tale goes, the wealthy Burt family were prominent members of the town, which is now known as Woodland. Mrs. Mildred Burt unfortunately was widowed by the age of 37 and had inherited a nice estate from her deceased husband. There were also 3 children that were a part of the family. There was Sarah Mildred, named after her mother, Emily, Isabella, and Joel. Joel was named after his father. Of all of the children, Isabella was most problematic. For one, she had inherited many physical traits from her father, including dark hair and bushy eyebrows. However, she was said to have had sharp, white, canine teeth that made her smile quite disturbing.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I know people that have like, sharp,
file it down.
Yeah. So saying that, in one report that was found about the family, poor kid, Mildred took her poor Isabella to a local dentist to see if the teeth could be altered in any way.
No, I was just kidding.
No, it really happened.
It was they were that sharp?
And they said that there was nothing that they could do for her. So Mildred, moving on, rather than dote on her children all day, Mildred decided that she was going to ship her kids off to Europe to school, which should give you an idea of how wealthy they were.
But they couldn't find a dentist who could do dental work?
Well, I mean, you're talking about the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Well, they were really crude back then, so I'm surprised they didn't just take a file.
Right. I mean, that's what I was thinking where that was going to go, and I'm like, oh my God.
I filed my tooth once.
Oh, don't, come on.
Well, I didn't have insurance at the time. I was a server, and I cracked my tooth, and it broke in my mouth. And it was hurting me because it was so sharp. So I took a file to it.
You have all these wonderful colleges that are learning colleges for like medical and dental around you.
This was during a time where if you didn't have health insurance, you had to pay for it. Yeah. I'm talking about a specific time where if you didn't have health insurance, you got penalized during when you were doing your taxes. Remember that time? We're not talking about it, but if you know, you know. And
you know, I got penalized.
Well, I got penalized for quite a few years.
Yeah.
Then I got a good job that had insurance. But Still, I could have used that money for my tooth, but instead I had to wait to get penalized because I didn't pay for health insurance.
Well, I don't think that as wealthy as this family was, I don't think that there was any amount of dental insurance that was going to help out for little Miss
Fang.
Emily Isabella.
That's
so,
funny.
she apparently she went by Emmy. Yeah. Soon after the return from Europe, Emmy fell ill and suffered from restless nights. The only thing that seemed to allay those sleepless nights was an elixir that, you know it, contained opium. Nevertheless, the elixir was not foolproof, and some nights, Isabella would be seen just roaming the countryside.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. How old is this kid?
She's out of school. Mildred sent her kids off, shipped them off to school.
Yeah.
And so when they returned, Emmy got sick, and so they started feeding her opium so that she had insomnia.
So she was a young adult, though. Like, she was graduated school?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So she's like 19, 20. 18.
Yeah. So, I mean, they all came home, and then,
Sorry, I was thinking that was just like this little fang-tooth, like, little juvenile running around high off of opium.
Well, and
oh my Lord, I'm going to have nightmares tonight so bad.
Her two sisters, I know, like, they eventually moved off to, like, I think Marietta or somewhere, and I don't know what happened to the brother. But yeah, I mean, They were right out of college, well, not college, but right out of school.
Sure.
So she fell ill, suffered from sleepless nights, insomnia. So they fed her opium. And so, had a little sleepwalking disorder on the side, and she would just go roaming the countryside. So Mildred couldn't shake that something else just wasn't quite right with little Miss Emmy. In addition to these strange issues, Emmy had a fondness for reading, and her subject choices were of the supernatural. Given the fact that part of her mother's inheritance upon the death of her father was a vast collection of books, this affinity for reading was quite convenient so that Emmy would stay in the house, just piled up with books and read from the family's library. And her mother was quite fond of the reading habit too, so she could keep an eye on Emmy. In the meanwhile, one of the beaux of Emmy's sisters, William Gorman, reported that something was killing not only his sheep, but the local farmer's sheep as well. Fearful of this happening to Mildred's animals, she became quite concerned. So on a regular visits, Gorman would recount stories about more sheep killings and that some of his cattle were even beginning to get killed. Each morning, waking up, the farmers and Gorman would take their morning walks into the fields, and it would just be littered with mangled carcasses of livestock.
Oh, excuse me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sounds like Skinwalker Ranch.
Right. So legend has it that with the help of local farmers, Gorman was putting together what amounted to be a posse. The intentions were to shoot and kill whatever beast was doing this damage. Emmy became quite unusually interested in what Gorman would say and the stories he had to tell and what events were going to transgress into hunting this animal. Well, after weeks of failed attempts to catch and kill the animal responsible, the frustrated farmers set out to consult a strange old man from Eastern Europe. Gorman and the farmers were thought to be the victims of a wolf attack. And that's what they explained to this Eastern European. So the Eastern European claimed to know what they were up against, and it was no regular animal. It was a werewolf. The old man instructed the farmers to melt down their silver crucifixes and fashion them into bullets. Then, by the light of the next full moon, attempt their hunt again. So together, the farmers concocted a plan to end the slayings once and for all. Just as the old man had said, the hunting party came across the silhouette of a giant wolf-like creature in the light of the next full moon, firing their rifles in its direction. Meanwhile, Mildred, who also had inherited more than a few guns and was a great markswoman, went out with her pistol. Suspecting that Emmy was somehow involved with these killings, she wanted to be prepared for anything. Eager to discover what her daughter was up to, she headed deeper into the woods to try to find Emmy. As she was near the area where she heard the gunshots ring out, an animal came out of the woods and lunged at her, and she fired. The creature ran off, letting out a painful scream. Interesting enough, the next morning, it was reported Emmy was missing her left hand.
What?
After being taken to the local physician, her mother decided to send her to Paris to be treated by a doctor who specialized in lycanthropy, a disorder that made its victims think they were werewolves. While she was in Paris, the attacks stopped, and once she returned, supposedly cured, the attacks fell to a minimum. Emmy lived in Talbot County until her death in 1911, and after much controversy, was buried on holy ground in the Owens and Holmes Cemetery in Talbot County. To this day, there are residents who believe that her spirit, only in werewolf form of course, still roams the countryside on a full moon. Her story has endured, but not everyone is convinced that the legend is true. So there are some records that reported that Emmy's state that there's no evidence to corroborate her being a werewolf. Moreover, the memorial marker states she was a well-known and well-liked in her community. And furthermore, newspaper reports from the time claim that the attacks were just the simple result of a rabid wild animal and nothing more. It is also mentioned that the Paris trip was to see relatives and friends, not to see a doctor who treated lycanthropy, but there are some who still question these conclusions. One of the Burt relatives, an English professor who teaches at a local community college in Atlanta, says it is possible that the Paris trip was to see a doctor for her condition. He commented that it is quite likely that the family would have said that Emmy was visiting family, for they most certainly would not have let it out that she was seeing a doctor, and not for what it was for, as there would be a lot of questions as to why she could not be treated. A trip across the Atlantic to see a physician would definitely breed questions. Dun, da, 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 the end. So I don't know. So, I mean, like, I kind of went down a couple of rabbit holes, and it's supposedly even like the pictures that are posted of her, we don't even know if that is really Emmy. Like there are pictures of her marker, and people try to get to it, but it's on private property now, so they have a really hard time finding it.
Okay.
Yeah, and some of the reports said that like she intentionally let her hair grow all mangly.
What?
She intentionally let her eyebrows go, and her teeth were like,
well, she couldn't do anything about those suckers.
right. I mean, you know, but it was after she came back from Paris, you know,
Right.
You know, so maybe she did some reading and education on the howling lichens and started liking the lichens.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was listening to you while you were talking, but I was researching something because you said Gorman.
Mhm.
And you were talking about the werewolf, and I was like, wow, that sounds so familiar. So, okay, not to veer off, but I'm about to make a connection.
You just went down a rabbit hole while I was reading my story.
Kind of. Not really a rabbit hole, but there's a book that I listened to. It's an Audible book. I have the actual book, but I listen to this book a lot when I'm like going into work or coming home because I have a long commute. And it's like a comfort book, and it's called Hunt for the Skinwalker, and it's about Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, that place gives me the creeps.
The ranch is Gorman Ranch.
That's right.
And there's a section. It's the first excerpt in the book about how the guy that's on the rent that owns the ranch, they come into contact with a huge wolf.
This is in Utah, so it's
This
like
is
from
Utah.
like Georgia to Utah.
I mean, so when you were saying it, I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so familiar. Why does that sound so familiar? So I was totally listening to you, but then you started hitting things about, and when I said Skinwalker Ranch at the beginning, it didn't, I was just making a joke, but then you said Gorman, and then you said werewolf, and I was like, what the?
Yeah, and I don't remember what sister it is.
So this is totally different Gorman, totally different area, but the connection is super weird, right?
Yeah, but it was the 1900s. You never know.
Well, this was in, when was this? 1950s, 60s, something.
Could have been part of the Gorman family.
I don't know, man. But you hit something in there, and I was just like, oh, I gotta make sure I'm thinking about the right thing before I open my mouth. Creepy.
Yeah.
Oh, that poor girl though with her teeth. See,
But when you think of, okay, so when I think of werewolves, right? I think of the movies. I think of London. I think of Paris. I think of here. I mean, they made stories of werewolves all over, right? Teen Wolf.
I think of Lon Chaney, the Wolfman.
They're all men. There's no
not an American Werewolf in Paris. It was a girl. Well, the head one was. Oh my God! Spoiler alert!
Right.
Sorry.
But very few. You know what I mean? You just touched on one of them. So she would just be one of very few. And here's my thing was, if the story is true, right? Vampires live eternally and werewolves have an expiration, right? Werewolves can die, but vampires cannot, right?
Well, and now you're thinking about Twilight.
Everything goes back to Twilight.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, everything goes back to the Hunger Games, the Lord of Rings, the Walking Dead, Twilight,
Harry Potter.
All
the greats of our time. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when she said that she died in her 70s in 1911, I was like, okay, but wait. I thought werewolves could live really longer. So was she more human than she was werewolf? Or, I
mean, I think you're right. I think werewolves, they're animals, right? They're mystical, magical, right? But they're animals. They're not the undead like vampires. Vampires are immortal. Werewolves are not.
Or maybe I'm just thinking, what's that one movie with what's her face in it? That's the vampire, and the other, where they fight, the Lycans fight the vampires.
Ooh, Underworld.
Yeah, that one.
Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Because the great. Lycan was half.
Correct. Well, he was part werewolf, part vampire.
Yeah.
That's right. He turned into that. Scott Speedman played that part. He did a great job.
He did a good job.
God, those are such good movies. We were obsessed in the 90s and 2000s with vampires, weren't we?
I think so.
I mean, we're still in the 2000s, but...
We had the Vampire Diaries.
Mm-hmm. Buffy.
Oh,
God, I loved Buffy.
What was the spinoff from Buffy? Angel,
yeah.
He had a place.
Shout out Eliza Dushku.
Whew. She was good.
She was great.
Put your tongue back in your mouth.
Respectfully. Of course, respectfully.
Yeah, so you guys let us know what you think. Give us a ringy dingy dingy.
Give us a call on the cell.
No, you know what I mean.
You guys can actually text us. There is a link on, I believe, Spotify. If you go down, there's a link that you can click, and you can actually text us if you want. Or I don't know if charges apply to that or not, but I don't think they do. But
Tiki-talkie.
If they do, you can always reach out to us on the Tiki Talks on Instagram. You can email me at boocrewhq@hotmail.com.
Because why?
Because we're hot.
But not male.
Yeah, reach out.
Yeah, if there's any stories you want us to
actually if you go to www.paranormalhowl.com to the Howl at Us page, that's Howl at Us, It's a whole contact page where you can see all the platforms where we're streaming. You can see all of our social medias, and there's an actual contact page where you can write your own stories or send us suggestions or let us know what you think. You can let us know what you think on the blog too. Yeah.
Good stories tonight. A lot of rabbit holes we
Yeah.
just ran down.
It was very discombobulated on my end. Sorry about that, but I got really excited about the McD's.
I know, but I don't like that they attacked my McD's.
I know, but look at how resilient McDonald's is with all of the shit that they've been through.
Yeah, they did go through some shit. And I kind of want to go back now and I want to look at Procter and Gamble's old little logo.
Right.
Because, all that Mandela effect crap,
Oh, yeah, that too. There was definitely a cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom. You ain't fooling me.
There was absolutely a cornucopia
You
on the Fruit of the Loom.
not
Oh, that's
fooling
another
me.
thing. Oh, God. So you, one of my favorite girls that I watch, shout out to Miss Little, what's her name? Slim Sherry. Sorry. My brain went. She does all these Mandela effects because,
Yeah.
she's oh my God.
She's what?
She's a Gen Xer. Yeah. All right.
Oh, okay. Well, so that's a wrap for another episode of Paranormal Howl Hour. We hope you enjoyed the ghostly tales and spine-tingling stories we've shared tonight. If you've got a thirst for more supernatural secrets and eerie encounters, make sure you like and subscribe to our podcast. You can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, and Stitcher. We're also available at iHeartRadio.com. So no matter where you tune in, we've got you covered. Want to join the conversation or share your own paranormal experiences? Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We would love to hear your ghost stories and spooky theories, so don't be shy. Send your stories over to boocrewhq@hotmail.com with a chance to be featured on an episode of the Howlcast. Your support keeps the haunt alive and brings you more spine-chilling content. Until next time, keep your lanterns lit and your minds open. The shadows are always lurking. Keep howling.
Ow!